What if the key to unlocking your boldest dreams lies in a single, fearless choice to act today? Welcome to Stoic Way, where the timeless wisdom of Stoicism meets the challenges of modern life. In this video, we're diving into 7 powerful Stoic strategies rooted in the teachings of Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus to help you shatter the chains of procrastination and banish laziness for good. You'll learn how to transform fleeting ambitions into concrete actions, reclaim your potential, and live with unwavering purpose. Join us on this journey to harness your inner strength and make every moment matter. Let's get started. The paradox of procrastination through a Stoic lens. Imagine this. You're sitting at your desk, a warm cup of coffee in hand, staring down a list of tasks you promised yourself you'd conquer today. The hours tick by, yet your pen remains idle, your screen blank. Here's the twist: you want to do these things. They're not tedious chores or daunting burdens you dread. So, why can't you start? This invisible wall, this quiet resistance, is what we call the paradox of procrastination. It's a subtle, creeping force that holds you back, even when your heart yearns to move forward. In the realm of Stoicism, this isn't just a fleeting annoyance, it's a profound philosophical puzzle. Stoic thinkers like Marcus Aurelius and Seneca saw procrastination as a failure to bridge the gap between our rational minds and our physical actions. They believe that once we recognize what needs to be done, our duty is to act swiftly, decisively, without pause. To linger in hesitation is to betray our own nature. Marcus Aurelius put it starkly: you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. This isn't a casual nudge to stay busy, it's a piercing reminder to live each moment fully, to align our every deed with the grand intent of nature and our own untapped potential. Procrastination, in this view, isn't merely a delay of tasks. It's a fracture in our character, a drift from the disciplined life we're capable of leading. The hidden cost of delay. Every time we procrastinate, we don't just push tasks aside, we erode our own tranquility. The Stoics understood this deeply. Each postponed action becomes a weight, stacking up in our minds like stones in an unseen load we carry. This burden festers, spawning guilt, frustration, and a gnawing sense that we're letting our true selves slip away. Seneca's words cut through the haze. While we waste our time hesitating and postponing, life is slipping away. This isn't a gentle prod, it's a thunderous call to wake up. Life isn't infinite, it's a fleeting gift, and every moment we squander is a piece of it lost forever. The Stoics turn to memento mori, the practice of reflecting on our mortality not as a dark obsession, but as a vibrant catalyst. But picture it. Knowing your days are numbered doesn't paralyze you, it propels you. It is a fire under your feet, urging you to seize the day, to live with intention rather than stumble through by accident. Procrastination, then, isn't just a bad habit, it's a quiet rebellion against the peace and purpose we could claim. It's not the tasks we're avoiding, it's the harmony we sacrifice when we let them linger undone, cluttering our spirits with the debris of unfulfilled potential. Small steps, big momentum. So how do we break free from this cycle of inertia? The Stoics offer a simple yet transformative answer. Begin with the smallest step. Epictetus, a master of practical wisdom, taught, first say to yourself what you would be, then do what you have to do. Don't let the vastness of your aspirations overwhelm you, tear them down into fragments you can grasp. That report you've been dreading. Start with a single sentence. That project looming over you. Sketch one idea. Action begets action, and each tiny victory fuels the next. Stoicism doesn't demand relentless business for its own sake, it calls for purposeful motion. When your efforts align with what matters to you, when they echo your deepest values, the resistance of procrastination begins to melt away. Focus on what's manageable. Organize your desk, draft an outline, make one call. These aren't trivial, they're the threads of a habit woven over time. With each step, you build momentum, turning the act of doing into something instinctive, a rhythm that carries you forward. This isn't about rushing. It's about crafting a life where every move has meaning, where discipline becomes your ally, not your taskmaster. Amor Fati, loving what comes. Now, let's explore a cornerstone of Stoic thought. Amor Fati, the love of one's fate. This isn't about grudgingly accepting what life hands you. It's about embracing it with open arms and a fierce spirit. Seneca and Marcus Aurelius saw procrastination as a symptom of resistance, a sign we're dodging our responsibilities instead of welcoming them. But what if we flip the script? The task you've been avoiding isn't a burden, it's a chance to stretch your wings. That fear holding you back. It's a guidepost to growth. The Stoics believed every action, or lack thereof, carries a moral dimension. To delay isn't just to postpone a chore, it's to stall the person you're destined to become. Marcus Aurelius urged, perform every action as if it were your last. Feel the weight of that. There's no space for dawdling, only a burning clarity to dive in with full commitment. This isn't a frantic sprint through life, it's a deliberate dance, where each step is infused with purpose. When you embrace Amor Fati, obstacles morph into opportunities, and procrastination shifts from a petty annoyance to a profound misstep on your path to fulfillment. Love your fate, and watch how it fuels your fire. Facing fear with Stoic courage. Dig deeper, and you'll find procrastination often roots itself in fear of failure, fear of success, fear of the unknown. It's a shadow that looms over our choices, whispering doubts. Stoicism slices through this with a razor-sharp principle. Focus solely on what you can control. Your effort, your resolve, your mindset, these are yours to wield. The outcome, that's beyond your reach, so release it. When you procrastinate, you're letting fear of what might happen drown out your power over what is happening. This runs counter to Stoic teaching, which calls us to meet our duties head-on, unshaken by results. Enter premeditatio malo rum. The premeditation of evil's a tool to disarm fear. Sit with it. What's the worst that could unfold if you act? A mistake? Now flip it. What's the cost of doing nothing? Regret? Stagnation? By rehearsing these scenarios, you strip the unknown of its terror. It becomes familiar, manageable, even tame. This isn't about dwelling on doom, it's about fortifying your courage, shrinking anxiety into something you can step over. With fear tamed, action flows freely, and procrastination loses its foothold. Building a Stoic routine. Routines are the unsung heroes of a Stoic life. They cut through the endless "should I start now?" debates that stall us. Epictetus saw habit as the bedrock of character. Decide who you aspire to be, then build the steps to get there. Picture this. Each night, you map your tomorrow, list your priorities, slot in breaks, carve out leisure. Come morning, there's no room for chaos or indecision. Your path is set. The structure doesn't confine you, it liberates you, slashing the mental clutter that procrastination thrives on. Then, at day's end, pause. Marcus Aurelius turned to his meditations to reflect. Do the same. Grab a journal. What did you achieve? What did you falter? What distracted you? How can you refine your approach? This isn't biz York, it's a dialogue with yourself, a chance to celebrate wins and sharpen your edge. Reflection locks in your progress and primes you for the next day's battles. Our routine isn't rigid, it's a scaffold, lifting you toward a life of steady, intentional action. Resilience, the Stoic core. Life isn't a straight road, it's a rugged trail, strewn with challenges that test your will. The tasks won't always yield easily. Obstacles will rise. This is where Stoic resilience takes root. Seneca declared, "It is not because things are difficult that we do not dare. It is because we do not dare that they are difficult." Let that sink in. Difficulty isn't the enemy, hesitation is. Embrace the struggle, it's your crucible. Every hurdle you clear, every resistance you push through, builds not just your skill but your soul. Stoicism doesn't promise a frictionless existence. It equips you to thrive in the friction. That tough project? It's sculpting your discipline. With that moment of doubt, It's forging your resolve. Its philosophy doesn't just patch up procrastination. It rewires how you live, rooting you in the present with unshakable strength. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Every task, every trial is a chance to rise. Seize it, because time doesn't wait and neither should you. Here at Stoic Way, we've journeyed through 7 Stoic secrets, from the spark of small steps to the steel of resilience that empower you to crush procrastination and live with bold purpose. Drawing from Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus, these insights aren't just ideas, they're tools to sculpt a life of action and meaning. What's one step you'll take today to break free? Share it in the comments. We'd love to hear your story or a challenge you're tackling. Hit subscribe to join the Stoic Way community and dive deeper into wisdom that transforms. Don't miss the thrilling discussion ahead. Stay tuned for Liam and Charlotte as they unpack Stoicism's real-world power in our next podcast segment.
Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive. Today we're tackling something I think we've all struggled with at some point: procrastination. You know that feeling. You've got something you absolutely need to do, but just can't seem to get started. Well, today we're going to be exploring how the ancient Stoics thought about this very modern problem.
I love this topic.
Yeah.
It's so universal.
It is.
Everyone procrastinates.
And it's something that I think we can all learn from the Stoics about, because they had such a unique perspective on it. We're going to be diving into a video and transcript today that unpacks how these philosophers viewed procrastination.
That's great, because I think what's so fascinating is that they didn't see it as just being lazy.
Right.
They saw it as this philosophical puzzle.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, like a disconnect between our thoughts and actions.
Like when you know you should be working on that big project, but you find yourself scrolling through social media instead.
Yeah, exactly. You know what you should be doing,
right,
but your actions don't follow.
So it's like there's this internal battle going on.
Yeah, and the Stoics believed that we have a duty to act. Once we know the right path, delaying or hesitating, that's where the problem lies.
So it's not just about laziness. It's about this disconnect between knowing what's right and actually doing it.
Right. And one of my favorite quotes about this is from Marcus Aurelius.
Oh, yeah?
He said, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think."
Wow.
That's pretty powerful, right?
It is. It really puts things into perspective.
Yeah, because it makes you think about how you're spending your time.
And are we spending it on the things that really matter?
Exactly.
Are we actually living in alignment with our values?
Yeah. And the Stoics believed that those moments when we procrastinate, they cost us more than just time.
Right.
They saw it as this loss of tranquility, a burden on our minds.
So it's not just about productivity.
No, it's about our mental well-being, too.
That makes sense.
Right.
Procrastination definitely creates stress and anxiety.
Yeah, it robs us of that inner peace that the Stoics valued so highly.
So it's not just about getting things done. It's about the impact that procrastination has on our overall sense of well-being.
Exactly. And Seneca, another Stoic philosopher, put it this way. He said, "While we waste our time hesitating and postponing, life is slipping away."
There's a real sense of urgency in those words, isn't there?
Yeah, it's like a wake-up call.
Reminding us that we don't have an unlimited amount of time to do the things that matter.
Right, and it's so easy to get caught up in that cycle of procrastination.
And miss out on opportunities.
Exactly.
Whether it's pursuing our goals, spending time with loved ones, or simply enjoying life to the fullest.
And that's where the Stoic concept of memento mori comes in.
Memento mori.
Yeah, remembering death.
I feel like that sounds a bit morbid.
I know. It's not about being gloomy or dwelling on death.
Okay.
It's about using it as a motivator.
Interesting.
The idea is that being aware of our limited time can help us overcome procrastination and live more intentionally.
So it's kind of like a reminder to make the most of each day.
Yeah, to really savor those moments and not waste them on things that don't truly matter.
So how did the Stoics actually suggest we tackle those tasks that we've been putting off? Did they have any practical advice?
They did. They believed in the power of starting small.
Yeah.
Epictetus, another prominent Stoic, he said, "First say to yourself what you would be, then do what you have to do."
So instead of getting overwhelmed by a massive project, we should break it down into smaller steps.
Exactly. It's so much easier to get started when you're not facing a mountain of work.
Like instead of trying to write a whole book,
Yeah.
you just focus on writing one page at a time?
Exactly. And the Stoics believed that taking those small steps helps to build momentum.
Right.
And creates positive habits.
It's like once you get started, it becomes easier to keep going.
Exactly. And you start to see progress, which is really motivating.
Now, this is where things get really interesting, right?
Okay.
Because the Stoics had this idea called Amor Fati.
Yes.
Love of fate.
Love of fate.
How does that connect with procrastination?
Well, they saw procrastination as this resistance to what we're meant to do.
Okay.
And they believed that embracing challenges, even the ones we might want to avoid, could lead to growth.
So it's not about avoiding difficult tasks, but seeing them as opportunities to learn and grow.
Exactly. It's about shifting our perspective.
That's a pretty powerful idea.
Yeah, and remember Marcus Aurelius' words. Perform every action as if it were your last.
That's a good one.
Yeah, it encourages us to act with purpose and not waste time on things that don't matter.
But what about when fear holds us back?
Oh, yeah, fear is a big one.
Because I know for me, fear is definitely a factor in why I procrastinate sometimes.
Right, and the Stoics had a strategy for dealing with that too.
Okay.
They said focus on what you can control.
Okay.
So you can control your effort, your mindset, your actions.
But we can't always control the outcomes.
Exactly. So why waste energy worrying about the things you can't change?
That's a good point.
Yeah, and they had a technique for this called premeditatio malorum.
Premeditatio malorum.
Yeah, which means premeditation of evils.
Okay, that sounds a little intense.
It sounds worse than it is, I promise.
Okay.
It's about mentally preparing for potential setbacks.
Right.
So you ask yourself, what's the worst that could happen?
Right.
And imagine those worst case scenarios.
Not to dwell on them, but to be prepared.
Exactly. It's about taking away the power of fear by facing it head on.
It's like a mental fire drill for procrastination.
I like that, a mental fire drill.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're prepared if things don't go as planned.
That's a great way to think about it. So we've talked about procrastination, the cost of delay, the power of small steps, embracing fate, facing our fears. What else?
Well, that brings us to another important aspect of Stoic philosophy.
Yeah.
Routine.
Routines. Okay. I have to admit, I'm not always the best at sticking to a routine.
Yeah, me neither.
But I'm intrigued to hear what the Stoics had to say about this.
Well, they believed that routines were essential for a well-lived life.
Good.
They saw habits as the foundation of character.
So if we want to be more productive, we need to create habits that support that goal.
Right, and Epictetus said, we are what we repeatedly do.
I like that.
Yeah, it's a good one. So if we're repeatedly procrastinating, then that becomes part of who we are.
But routines can feel so rigid sometimes.
I know. But the Stoics weren't advocating for a life of strict adherence to a schedule.
Okay.
It was more about creating a structure that helped to reduce decision fatigue and foster consistency.
So it's about creating a framework that allows us to make better choices more consistently.
Exactly. It's about setting ourselves up for success.
I like that. It's like having a plan.
Yeah.
So you're not constantly having to make decisions on the fly.
Right, which can be really draining.
Okay, so what does a Stoic routine actually look like?
Well, planning is key.
All right.
They recommend taking some time each evening to map out your next day.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Prioritize your tasks, schedule in breaks, and allocate time for the things you enjoy.
So it's about being proactive and intentional with your time.
Exactly. And then reflection is also important.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. At the end of the day, take a few moments to review your progress. Ask yourself, what went well? What could I have done differently?
So it's like a mini debrief to learn from your experiences and continuously improve.
Exactly. And it helps you to identify patterns in your behavior.
Especially those pesky procrastination tendencies.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've talked about routines.
Yeah.
But life is full of surprises.
Right.
Right.
Absolutely.
How did the Stoics approach those unexpected challenges and setbacks that can derail even the best laid plans?
Well, that's where Stoic resilience comes in.
Resilience, okay.
Yeah, they saw it as the ability to bounce back from setbacks and keep moving forward.
That's such a crucial skill, especially in today's world where things are constantly changing.
Absolutely. It's like having a superpower.
So how did the Stoics cultivate resilience in their own lives?
Seneca, our wise Stoic friend, he said, "It is not because things are difficult that we do not dare. It is because we do not dare that they are difficult."
Whoa.
What do you think he meant by that?
It sounds like he's saying that our own fear and hesitation are what hold us back.
Yeah, exactly. We create our own limitations.
Interesting.
by not daring to try.
So it's not the difficulty itself, but our perception of it.
Exactly. And the Stoics saw challenges as opportunities for growth.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and Marcus Aurelius, he had a great quote about this too.
Yeah.
He said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way."
I love that one.
Yeah, it's so powerful, right?
It's like those obstacles actually become the path forward.
Exactly. It's about embracing the challenges and using them to our advantage.
Wow, we've covered so much ground already.
I know, right? That's a lot to take in.
We've talked about how the Stoics viewed procrastination, the cost of delay, the power of small steps, embracing fate, facing our fears, the importance of routines and resilience.
It's amazing how these ancient principles are still so relevant today.
It really is. They offer a timeless wisdom that can help us navigate the challenges of modern life.
Absolutely. And we still got more to explore.
Stay tuned, because in the next part of our deep dive, we'll go even deeper into Stoic wisdom
Can't wait.
and how it can help us conquer procrastination.
I'm excited to see where this goes.
Me too.
Why?
So make sure you come back for part 2.
It's going to be good.
All right, see you then.
See you then. It's really incredible how the Stoics, they connected these ideas to living a fulfilling and meaningful life. They didn't just see procrastination as a productivity killer. They tied it into this much broader philosophy.
That's so true. It's like they had this blueprint for a good life. And procrastination was something that was actively in the way of that. So where do we go from here? What other Stoic secrets did they have for us?
Well, that brings us to another big concept. Virtue.
Virtue. Okay. How does that relate to procrastination? I'm kind of picturing angels and not my to-do list,
Yeah, I get what you mean. But for the Stoics, virtue was the ultimate good, like the key to a flourishing life. And they believed that procrastination was a vice, holding us back from that.
So by tackling procrastination, we're not just getting things done, we're actually becoming better people.
That's a great way to put it. It's about aligning our actions with our values and striving for excellence.
I'm starting to see how all these pieces fit together. It's not just about checking things off a list, it's about personal growth.
Exactly.
So where does self-control come in?
Ah, yes, self-control. That was essential for the Stoics when it came to overcoming procrastination.
Self-control, something I definitely struggle with. Especially these days, distractions are everywhere.
Oh, I hear you. They had a few techniques for dealing with that. One was called negative visualization.
Negative visualization. Wouldn't that make you more likely to procrastinate if you're focusing on the negative?
It might seem that way at first, but it's about imagining the worst-case scenario. Not to dwell on it, but to prepare yourself mentally and emotionally.
So it's like a mental rehearsal for dealing with challenges.
Exactly.
Interesting. It's kind of like those fire drills we used to have in school.
Yeah.
Not that we were expecting a fire, but we were prepared just in case.
I love that analogy. A mental fire drill for procrastination.
Exactly.
So you're not caught off guard when things go wrong.
Okay, so negative visualization helps us prepare mentally. What about actually taking action?
Well, they also practice something called voluntary discomfort.
Voluntary discomfort. Okay, that sounds a little extreme.
I know, right?
Why would anyone intentionally make themselves uncomfortable?
Well, think of it like training for a marathon. You wouldn't expect to run 26 miles without gradually pushing your limits, right?
Okay, so it's about building up our mental and emotional stamina.
Exactly. By intentionally putting ourselves in challenging situations, we build resilience and make those difficult tasks seem less daunting.
So instead of avoiding challenges, we should lean into them.
That's the Stoic way.
Yeah.
And it leads us to another important principle, acceptance.
Acceptance. Okay. How does that tie into procrastination?
Well, sometimes we procrastinate because we're resisting a task or situation. We just don't want to do it.
Oh, tell me about it.
Right.
Happens all the time.
And the Stoics believed that we should accept what we cannot control.
Okay, so instead of fighting against reality, we should accept it and focus on what we can control.
Exactly. Our effort, our actions, our mindset.
I like that. It's about choosing how we respond to things.
Yes. It's about taking back our power in situations where we might feel powerless.
This is really resonating with me. It's like we have more control than we realize.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've talked about virtue, self-control, acceptance. What's the final piece of the puzzle?
Purpose.
Purpose. That's a big one. I've heard a lot about finding your purpose, but it always feels a bit overwhelming.
It's a big question, for sure. But the Stoics believed that living a purposeful life was essential.
So how does purpose relate to procrastination?
Well, when we have a clear sense of purpose, we're more motivated, we're more resilient, we're less likely to get bogged down by procrastination.
So procrastination could be a sign that we're lacking a sense of purpose.
It's definitely something to consider when we don't feel like our work has meaning. It's easy to put things off.
It's like we're just going through the motions instead of feeling truly engaged with what we're doing.
Exactly.
So how do we find our purpose? That feels like such a huge question.
It is a big question. But the Stoics believed that we can discover our purpose by looking at our values, our talents, and our passions.
So it's about figuring out what truly matters to us and then finding ways to use our unique abilities to make a positive impact.
Exactly. And that can be a lifelong journey.
Wow, this has been such an insightful conversation. We've explored how the Stoics viewed procrastination, the importance of virtue, self-control, acceptance, and the power of purpose.
It's amazing how much wisdom they packed into these ideas.
I know, right? But I think the biggest question is, how do we actually put all of this into practice?
That's a great question. And that's exactly what we'll be diving into in the final part of our deep dive.
Stay tuned, because we're about to get practical and equip you with some Stoic strategies that you can start using today to conquer procrastination and live a more fulfilling life. Welcome back for the final part of our deep dive. Ready to put all this Stoic wisdom into action?
Absolutely. Let's turn those insights into real strategies you can use starting today.
Sounds good to me. I'm ready to conquer my procrastination once and for all.
Well, one of the simplest but most effective techniques is called the 2-minute rule.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that one. What's the idea behind it again?
If a task takes less than 2 minutes, do it right away.
Don't overthink it, just get it done.
Exactly.
Seems almost too simple.
I know, but you'd be amazed by the impact it can have.
Really?
All those little things we put off, replying to an email, making the bed, they add up and create mental clutter.
You're right, it's like they weigh on you, even though they're so quick to do.
By knocking them out right away, you free up mental space and build momentum.
I can see that. It's like getting those quick wins early on.
And that can help you tackle the bigger tasks later.
So what about those larger projects that definitely take more than 2 minutes?
For those, the Stoics recommend breaking them down into smaller chunks.
Okay, make it less intimidating.
Right, it's called chunking.
Chunking, I like it.
Yeah.
Can you give me an example?
Sure, let's say you have to write a big report for work. Instead of focusing on the whole thing at once, break it into sections: research, outlining, drafting.
Each chunk becomes its own mini goal.
Exactly, making the overall task much less daunting.
It's like climbing a mountain. You take it one step at a time.
Exactly. And each time you complete a chunk, you feel a sense of accomplishment.
That keeps you motivated to move on to the next one.
Right. Those small victories can make a big difference.
This is making a lot of sense. What else can we do to make those less appealing tasks a little more bearable?
The Stoics had a technique for that too. They called it temptation bundling.
Temptation bundling. Now that sounds interesting. What is that?
It's about pairing something you enjoy with a task you tend to procrastinate on.
Ooh, I like where this is going.
For example, listen to your favorite podcast while doing chores.
Or treat yourself to a nice coffee while working on that challenging project.
Exactly. You're basically giving yourself a little reward.
It's like tricking your brain into looking forward to the task.
In a way, yes. You're creating positive associations.
I'm definitely going to try that one. Okay, give me another Stoic secret.
Another key strategy is to create a distraction-free environment.
Oh, that's a tough one these days. Social media, emails, notifications.
Yeah.
It feels like there's always something trying to grab our attention.
I hear you. But the Stoics understood the importance of focus. They believed that true freedom came from mastering our attention.
Not letting ourselves get pulled in a million different directions.
Exactly. So start by identifying your biggest distractions and then create boundaries.
So put your phone on silent. Close those extra tabs on your computer.
Maybe even invest in some noise-canceling headphones.
It's about creating a space where you can fully focus on the task at hand.
And minimizing those external distractions that pull you away from what you're trying to do.
Okay, that makes sense. What's the last Stoic strategy for tackling procrastination?
This one might surprise you. It's about cultivating gratitude.
Gratitude. I can see how that would improve your mood, but how does it help with procrastination?
When we focus on what we're grateful for, it shifts our perspective. Instead of dwelling on what we haven't done, we appreciate what we have and what we've already accomplished.
It's about focusing on the positive.
Exactly.
So it's like a mental reset.
In a way, yes. It helps you approach your tasks with a more positive and motivated mindset.
Wow, this has been such a fascinating journey into the world of Stoic wisdom.
It's incredible how relevant their ideas still are.
I know, right? They really had some great insights into human nature, and it's amazing how they connected these seemingly simple ideas to living a more fulfilling life.
It's all about aligning our actions with our values.
And using our time and energy wisely.
Exactly.
Well, this has been an incredible deep dive. We've learned so much about how the Stoics viewed procrastination and how we can apply their wisdom to our own lives today.
I hope you feel equipped to conquer your procrastination.
And live more intentionally.
Absolutely. Remember those small steps? Embrace challenges and cultivate gratitude.
Those are powerful tools.
They really are.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into Stoicism and procrastination.
It's been a pleasure.
Until next time, keep diving deep and keep exploring.
See ya next time.